This up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Top of the List, another Loki review as we approach here on Season 1, Episode 5, titled Journey into Mystery. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Dom, here with my co-host, RB.
What's up, guys?
And of course, as we said here at the top, Ryan, Journey into Mystery is a very meaningful title. I looked this up just before I want to share this with you. Journey into Mystery, the comic book title for where our good friend Thor was introduced in Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay.
So
was unaware, yes.
Yeah.
I kind of read the title kind of mockingly, saying, it's kind of just a sort of a catch-all, a interesting title, definitely, but doesn't really cover anything in the episode. But that's intriguing. I did not know that.
Yeah, and this is also just our journey into the final mystery of this season, as we see here at the end. Before we go into spoilers,
yeah.
But that's just a little hint at our spoiler section.
Yeah.
We'll see how it ends. But of course, we got to give our scores, Ryan.
Yeah.
What was your score for this one?
I really like this episode,
Me too.
and about halfway through this episode, because full disclosure, watched about half of this episode on my lunch break, excuse me, and then went back to work. Couldn't wait to watch the rest of this episode. Halfway through, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best MCU single episode I've seen of these three shows. I want to give it a 10 out of 10. There were some pacing issues in the second half of this episode, but still overall a really good episode. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5. Yeah, I think I'm going to do exactly the same, Ryan. Not quite into that amazing territory. I think we both gave episode 1 an amazing. Yeah. And, I don't think it reached the highs of that episode.
Yeah.
But pretty damn close. And give it 8.5 as well.
The exciting thing about this, though, with our 8.5 here is I think the way they're setting up this finale, I'm fully expecting a 10 out of 10. I love how the cliffhanger, this you knew as the episode pre-finale that it was either going to be set up really well, or we've seen some so far that we're just like, okay, they're just kind of stretching out. This one, the way they left it on the cliffhanger, I'm so excited to see where they pick this up next Wednesday. Cannot wait.
Please let this be the first MCU 10 out of 10 finale.
Fingers crossed, yes.
I mean, WandaVision was, we both said it was good. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you thought it was good. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, but that was the key word. Both, good, maybe touching great range.
Yeah.
Nothing close to a perfect 10 out of 10 like we come to expect from, these finales of different story arcs in the MCU films. Of course, Endgame comes to mind, but also, we've had other endings. I think Ragnarok, the ending was incredible. We're really excited to see this weekend Black Widow. I think that's another one that's going to wrap up put a bow on the Natasha Romanoff story. And from everything I've read in the reviews, it's been getting really great reviews, and I'm really excited to see that one. So really excited and hopeful for how they're going to end this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the only reason I'm not giving this one as high of a score is because, there's a moment where we have two of our characters just sit down and talk for a little while. Yeah. It's nothing terrible by any means. It's just,
unnecessary.
Yeah, it's not as exciting as everything else in the episode. Let's just say that.
Yes, correct.
And that's the only reason that's holding it back a little bit. And once again, I think we got to bring it up, Ryan. They're just not answering enough questions. They're leaving it all for the final episode, and that worries me a little bit.
Okay, it worries you because I'm excited for it. I think the way they've set this up, I think they may have the ability to answer them, whereas I haven't felt that way in the last two MCU series, Disney Plus series. So really excited to see how they wrap this one up. Apologies for those of you watching on YouTube. I keep shaking the table. But yeah, so I think, 8.5 for both of us. Definitely a must-watch episode. Keep it going, fans out there. If you haven't watched yet, this is your time to hit pause and go watch. Otherwise, from us, spoiler alert time. We're going to go into more in-depth spoilers of the episode starting now. So, Dom, you want to start us off with this episode, picking up right where we left off from episode 4?
Yes, we get alternate versions of Loki. That's the biggest spoiler so far. So as according to the screen here, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and check that out. But if you're on audio, I'll describe it as well. So we have future Loki here, played by Richard E. Grant.
Okay. I also saw him listed as classic Loki.
Classic Loki, yes. Classic Loki. We have Kid Loki.
Yep.
All right. And who his, what is the Change Nexus event?
Yeah, his Nexus event, he's sort of the leader of them. And they go, why do you follow the child? Tom Hiddleston's Loki says, he goes, well, ask him about his Nexus event. And he does. And he goes, I killed Thor.
Yeah.
That was his Nexus event. Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course we have other Loki.
Hammer Loki.
Hammer Loki, the Loki with a hammer.
Yeah, that one threw me off. I thought Hammer maybe like there were going to be Thors that created Nexus events when we saw this in the post-credit scene last week, but he is indeed a Loki. He's the one who definitely gets the least screen time. We're in the spoiler section now. Well, he's the one that that turns on to President Loki.
Yes.
And turns on this group of Lokis and sells them out to all the other Lokis. And then of course, favorite of ours.
Thing to do.
Yes, very true. And then a favorite of ours. Gator Loki.
Yeah, Gator Loki.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We love Gator Loki.
Is he a Loki? Yes, I think so.
He's definitely a Loki.
Okay. Has to be. So of course, yeah. So we got some other future Lokis, like you said, President Loki. And then of course we have our main character, Loki from Battle of New York Loki.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, although we do see another Tom Hiddleston Loki later on. But yes, we have him. And then we also have in this episode, intercut with what's going on with Sylvie in time TVA. TVA, thank you. I don't know why I blanked there. She's, if you recall from the end of last week's episode, duking it out with Renslayer, and has the pruning stick on her saying, "You're going to tell me everything."
Yes.
So we get to see a little bit of Loki's journey. He meets these other Lokis. We learn that when the Lokis are pruned, and we learn this first by observing them, and then from Judge Renslayer.
Yeah.
When anything is pruned, not all the matter is destroyed. So they go to this void that it's the very end of all time. And then in the void, they have this cloud entity named...
Which they finally gave us some answers here. I was really happy with this part of the episode. They gave us some... It's what were you saying?
What's the cloud entity's name?
Oh, Alioth?
Alioth, yeah.
Alioth,
I think that's correct. Who basically, you put him in there at the void, they call it, and Alioth just destroys him. But clearly there are Lokis who have survived.
Yes.
So that sort of sets the stage for this penultimate episode.
Yeah.
And then you were saying, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So the Judge Renslayer scene.
Yes.
I was really surprised with how quickly that things happened there. I thought that maybe we would get the rest of this episode, Judge Renslayer and Sylvie plotline to play through the rest of the episode.
I was hoping for that.
I was hoping so too.
Yeah.
But, diverted my expectations there. And Sylvie just prunes herself after she learns the information that Renslayer is going to betray her. Yeah. Right. And we also got a deep look into Renslayer in this episode, that she really does want to know who's the man behind the curtain. Of course, reference to the Wizard of Oz.
Of course, but it does seem like she is still loyal to the TVA and whoever is behind the curtain. She's just curious. We know she's been working with the timekeepers, which, as we find, are all a ruse.
Yeah.
But she does still seem to be loyal to the TVA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unlike as we find out in this episode, another big spoiler. Mobius is still alive, which we are so excited about because Owen Wilson is just killing this role. He's so amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen. And, Sylvie prunes herself. And I got to say, I'm really liking everything that's happening with Sylvie. I enjoy her character arc thus far.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely like her plight. I have nothing wrong to say about it.
Now, before we end things with Judge Renslayer, because I think that's about all we got this week, I just want to point out something that I did not know, that I learned online from a video, that Renslayer is a comic book character.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and Renslayer, and this is leading into my biggest theory for what we're going to see in the finale. Okay, and Renslayer in the comics is a princess, okay? And she is married to Kang the Conqueror, who I think is our next big Thanos.
Right. I remember you speaking about him when we were talking about all these premieres.
Yes. And I think that Renslayer is her comic book persona, just with her memories erased and put in this place as a judge by Kang the Conqueror. And I think our big bad is now going to be Kang the Conqueror. Okay. And I have a few
reasons. Yeah. Okay.
Little Easter eggs I noticed.
Okay.
Biggest one that's going around online. Everybody saw this one on the trailers, and I think your dad pointed this one out. Avengers Tower.
Avengers Tower is at the end of time.
Is at the end of time, and not only is it at the end of time, but there's a shot where we pan over it and we see the words written on Avengers Tower. It is not Avengers. It is not Stark, but it is Queng. Kang.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's our biggest hint. I think that's our biggest hint.
Cool.
Now, is there other things that could happen? Yes, I think that another big name drop that could go by is the Living Tribunal, which we saw a statue of here. I don't think it's in this picture, but there's a statue of the Living Tribunal, which we first heard of from Doctor Strange, the staff of the Living Tribunal. He uses it to train with Doctor Strange and the other guy there.
Yeah.
And so that's also an option. Some other people there as well, but for me, I think we're going to see King the Conqueror.
Yeah, but I mean, as we've seen, they like to throw us curveballs here. We thought the Loki for president plot line may have gone through, and in the end, that was just a one-off here in this episode. So we'll see, but yeah, I'm all for that. Good eye with the
I'm
Easter eggs
also
there,
down for your prediction too, Ryan. The Loki is behind everything.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see if that's the move they go with. I do like that idea because the show is Loki.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not referring to any of these Lokis or our Loki, but maybe a Loki who's pulling the strings behind, maybe he's created this TVA to just keep all these other, to eliminate almost all of these other Lokis.
To be the one true Loki.
Yes. That's sort of where my basis comes from is, the Rick and Morty episode where we have the most evil Rick, the Rickest Rick.
Yes.
And that's sort of where I'm basing my idea off of, because I have seen a lot of parallels between Rick and Morty, not intentionally, obviously, but or if anything, if this was a comic book storyline that Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon are playing on in Rick and Morty more so than this is playing on Rick and Morty.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, dude, I'm with you on that too, man. It's a fantastic prediction. Eager to see what happens there. But let's talk about a couple other things here. One more Easter egg I wanted to get your opinion on. Did you see the Thanos helicopter?
I did not know.
Okay, so in the background of one of these scenes, there's a yellow helicopter with the word Thanos written on it. And that's just a little reference to when Thanos first appeared in the comics, he flew in on a yellow helicopter. Oh, which is weird.
That,
And it's also why
I do not have the eye for the Easter eggs like you do, Tom. I'm in for the whole adventure. I'm not looking for little nitpicks. I'm big picture guy.
Here's my thing. I noticed the Easter eggs. I just don't know what they are. So I go online and look up. I type in Thanos helicopter and then it shows up. And,
Gotcha.
So that's my thing. That's what I do at least.
All right.
But let's get back to this episode. So there's a lot of twists and turns in this one. But let's talk about Sylvie and our Loki meeting back together.
Yeah. So this was a little bit of a fast 180 for me in the sense that we have Sylvie arriving in the void.
Yes.
She is rescued from Alioth.
Yeah. Something like that.
By Mobius.
By Mobius, yes.
And she immediately says, she doesn't even think her Loki is alive. Our Loki, New York Loki, is alive. Mm. And then they're driving, and then all of a sudden they just stumble upon Loki. And that kind of upset me. I was like, how did they know where to go to find Loki? I know she said she needs to turn around. Did she just happen at the exact same spot?
It was just circumstance.
Yeah, that was the one thing that didn't sit right with me.
It felt really quick.
Yes.
Yeah, it felt really quick. I thought that we were going to not have them come back together until later in the finale.
Yes.
But they came back together right away.
Yep.
And, Loki almost kind of confesses his feelings for Sylvie, and he puts, the little blanket around her, and they chat about, what would make Loki truly happy. Maybe after all of this, he'll have his own reality. And then he says, oh, yes, I'll finally be happy. Mm-hmm. But is he really? He's kind of being sarcastic there.
Yep. I think he's definitely being sarcastic there.
I think his true intention here is that he says it there at the end. He just wants to be together. They could figure it out together.
Yeah.
He wants to be with Sylvie.
With Sylvie, absolutely.
Which I think is great. Me and Caitlin were talking about this earlier that, I think it's just genius that Loki had to fall in love with himself. It's such a Loki thing.
It totally makes sense. And it's not that I don't like the love story between Loki and Sylvie, because I love the irony that the only person who can love Loki is Loki.
Yes.
But I'm just not sure how sustainable it is.
Yeah.
And that's what's eating at me is there's playing a lot on this love story, and I feel like it's all going to come down to at the end, they're going to have to go back to their own timelines, and they're not going to be able to be together. And that's why I'm like, I just wish they wouldn't spend as much time with it. That whole sequence where they're talking and he conjures the blanket large enough for both of them. It just brought the episode to a standstill.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's the biggest negative we have to say here. But then, of course, we get a pretty exciting scene with classic Loki where he, they're hunting down Alioth and,
Is that Asgard?
I think he conjures his own Asgard.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was a really great, and it just shows how powerful the future Loki has.
Well, his story was intriguing. That he was not killed by Thanos. He just wandered off into a planet and wanted to go visit his
he said that his magic was stronger and he was able to conjure a perfect
blade.
What?
Did he say it was a perfect blade?
No, he conjured a perfect what do you call it? Projection.
Right, yes.
Clone of himself that he even fooled Thanos with the clone.
Right, and he just floated off as debris. Yes.
Yep. Which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and that's a theory that everyone's been having ever since Infinity War. Is Loki really alive? That must have been another projection, clone, another projection. Yeah. So, but I think that it turned out well, and he was able to sacrifice himself in great fashion. Good character arc.
Glorious purpose.
Glorious purpose.
That was pretty amazing to see him doing that. Yeah. No, that was cool, but I want to jump back to a scene actually even before the scene we were talking about, Loki and Sylvie.
For sure.
Without a doubt, my favorite scene from this episode, why I thought it was going to be a 10 out of 10 halfway through.
Yeah.
The battle of all the Lokis.
Oh, yes.
So amazing.
Oh, yes. And what a Loki thing to happen.
Yes.
Double cross of a double cross.
Yep. But I just love this battle of all the Lokis we have.
And I love how it's an explanation as to how come none of these Lokis were able to escape. Well, it's because they keep double crossing one another.
Yes.
And that's so funny to me for some reason, but it's great.
I just think the most amazing sequence of this is where Gator Loki gets tossed and completely bites off the arm of President Loki. And just looks, and it just goes into a full out brawl.
Oh, that was so
mayhem.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. And, our episode ends with Sylvie and our, Battle of New York Loki, Tom Hiddleston, facing down Alioth, and they succeed. They combine their powers. Loki unlocks magic within himself.
Yep, they enchant.
Right,
that's the word, enchant.
Yeah, they enchant the giant purple cloud, and of course they open up and they see a giant castle, and they're about to enter the void and cut to black.
Yeah. No post-credit scene this week's episode, so just one so far, and it was in episode 4.
Yep.
Assuming that after the finale, or at least hoping after the finale, we'll get a post-credit scene, seeing where this leads, if it's leading into Multiverse of Madness, which I think we both think it will, but I think so, yes. We'll see what it leads to. But yeah, all I can say is they're doing a great job, whereas these last couple of shows, I've been like, okay, finally we've gotten to the finale. I just can't wait to get it over with and figure out what's happening. This one, I'm really excited to, I'm willing to wait, and I'm excited to see where they go with this. In the past, it's just been, man, can it be, they were premiering on Fridays, right?
Yeah.
Man, can it be Friday already so we can just get through this thing and I can figure it out? This one I'm willing to wait because I'm so excited for it.
Excellent. Yep. So that's it for us. Both the 8.5 from both of your hosts here on top of the list. Yep. Now, of course, I do want to end us with a little bit of a Marvel info here. New trailer for What If came out.
Oh, awesome. I love What If.
I caught it and it looks really good. And guys, I think also you were saying this might lead into Multiverse of Madness. I'm actually more hyped for What If now because based on that trailer, it looks like Loki might be tying into What If a little bit.
Nice.
And based on the poster they released for What If, I'm hoping there's a giant figure in the background. Is it, King the Conqueror? Is it Living Tribunal? Is it, whoever is in the other side of this void? We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see.
It's going to be Stanley.
It's going to be Stanley.
It's going to be Stanley, who is the, what do they call him? The
Observer.
The Observer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it. It's all going to be Stanley.
It's all Stanley.
Because it is all Stanley.
It is all Stanley. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Yeah. So What If coming up. Excited for doing some more reviews on that one when it comes out.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of our Loki reviews, including our finale review next week, please hit subscribe and you'll be notified when that review comes out. Also keep an eye out for Rick and Morty reviews coming out soon.
Yep.
Ryan, want to take us out?
Yep. So thanks for watching another episode of Top of the List, guys. We'll see you next week. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, like Don said. If you're listening on the podcast services, please leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys later.